this chair? I like it better with the chair. Hey, Golly.
Doesn't it comes in the butt?
Hey,
Jumped up later.
watch it. Well, you're supposed to say camera action.
Oh, it's going everywhere.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Marty's Fire Safety. You have everybody's attention here, please. You'll be staying after school.
Always does.
All right, we're going to do a little review of fire safety. Basically, just what we already know. Hi, Sue. First of all, to review the fire detection systems that we have in the building. First and foremost is the common areas are protected by a central alarm system. So anything in a common area where a resident, a visitor, a staff member could freely go anytime during the day, such as the dining room here has a detector. Anywhere, the dining room downstairs, the lobbies, the hallways, okay? Any common area has these type of detectors, which is on the central system. If one of these detectors is activated by smoke, it sends an alarm to the fire department. It also rings out all the whistles and bells in the whole building. When that happens, you're going to hear the loud noises throughout the buildings. The strobe lights will go off that are in the doorways. All these doors become demagnetized, which for downstairs is a little bit of a problem if you're handicapped, because trying to get through those doors with a wheelchair or a walker can be very tricky. Up here it's even worse because the doors become demagnetized. These doors are all shut, but also in the reflections unit, we're trying to keep the people inside that have dementia. All these doors will become demagnetized and will be available if someone wants to just walk out. That's why it's so important that, number one, we find out where the alarm is right away in the building, and number two, we cover these doors, especially up in reflections. And it shouldn't be just up to the RCAs up in reflections to cover these doors. If there's a housekeeper up here, and usually there's one up here most of the time during the day, if there's a housekeeper, or if there's a dietary aide, or even a department head walking through and the alarm goes off, grab yourself a door and stand there. Do not let anyone out the doors. Kind of redirect everyone back to their rooms downstairs. We want a shelter in place, which means just reassure the residents to keep in your rooms, everything's okay. It's just the fire alarm going off. We'll notify you if there's a problem, okay? Reassure them, calm them down. If you start running around like a chicken with your head cut off up here, saying, oh my God, there's a fire, oh my God, they're gonna get all nervous, they're gonna get excited, and they'll be panicked throughout the whole building. So just stay calm, stay cool, and just tell them to just stay in your rooms, even up here. Tell the residents it's okay, just go back in your room. If you're up here, again, guard one of the doors. If you're near one of the three panels, and when I say three panels, the main fire alarm panel is behind the door in Sherry's office. If she's in her office, or there's a receptionist there, or Nellie's in her office, they can easily go to that panel, push the red button that you'll see appear on the panel, because it's going to say, there'll be a red button, it'll say fire alarm. Push that red button, and it's going to acknowledge it, and it'll tell you exactly what device has been triggered in the building. We have an addressable system. So that means if you push that red button, whether it's in Sherry's office or one of the two RCA offices, either downstairs or up here, it'll tell you smoke detector activation in the main dining room, smoke detector activation in the media room, which in most cases isn't a problem, but if they say the reflections kitchen area, and you come up here and you say, oh, okay, there's one, two detectors, which one is it? It's very easy to find out. All of these detectors have a little blinking light on them. And when a detector has been activated, this blinking light, instead of blinking, like that little one is up there and that one is there, it'll become solid red. So if you happen to be coming to cover the door and say, Sherry says, oh, it's up in Reflections kitchen. You're right here, you can see the door, check the two detectors and say, that one's okay, ooh, that one's in alarm. Get on the walkie and call down to the main desk, the receptionist, and say, yeah, it's the smoke detector in the reflections kitchen area that's activated, but there's no smoke or fire up here. It's very important. Being a past firefighter, I can attest to this, because this is a high-risk priority for the fire department. A nursing home, a hospital, a place like this, it's what we call high risk. So, big housing apartment, anything that has more than one floor, it's high risk. People that are disabled, high risk. So what we do is we send the whole complement. That's every truck that we have, all the manpower available, and also the ambulances will be coming as well. By you telling the receptionist that there's no smoke or fire, it must be a false alarm, she'll call the fire department, relay that to the fire department, and tell them that it's a false alarm. We see the detector, there's no smoke or fire. They'll send one truck and the deputy to reset the system, instead of every truck in the city coming this way here, because in all honesty, they could all come here waiting to find out what detector it is and what the problem is, and all of a sudden a house fire occurs on the opposite side of the city where there's a person trapped in there. We've had that happen before, believe it or not. And that's why it's so important. Give as much information as you can to the receptionist. They in turn will be calling the fire department. If it's at night after hours and you have the cell phone, once again, you'll become the receptionist. Call the fire department and tell them, we have an activated smoke detector, there is no smoke or fire. They will send one truck and the deputy to reset the system. And when I say reset the system, when they get here, you might hear the whistles and bells go off. I'm still on camera, see? These strobes will be going off, all the whistles will be going off, and all of a sudden you'll hear silence. That's so that the firefighters can talk to each other in their walkie-talkies. Because with all that blazing, you can't even hear yourself think. So what they'll do is they'll silence the system. It has not been reset, so if you hear pure silence, they'll say, oh, it's good, you can walk away from this door. Because the door still has not become magnetized. The easiest way to check is, when that happens, and you hear, if no one makes an announcement, say it's after hours, no one says the system has been reset, just simply take one of these doors and push it back against the wall. If it sticks like it does now, you know it's become magnetized. Or these doors that are currently magnetized, if you go to push on them and it doesn't open again, you know the doors have become magnetized. And be very proactive. Get on the radio and say, the fire alarm has been reset, check all the doors. So that means if you're down in traditional, go around all the corridors, push the doors back so they become magnetized against the wall. If you're in reflections, just for safety's sake, go around to all these doors and check them, make sure they're locked. Because maybe somebody pushed it and it's open a little bit and it hasn't become magnetized again. So just check them and make sure all the doors and reflections are locked, okay? Questions on the central system? And that's very important. If you're here during the day and the fire alarm goes off, make sure after everything is said and done, whether it's at the end of the day, you come down and sign your name on the slip too, so you get credit for the fire drill. When we do the fire drills, take it as a real thing. I know it's only a drill and the word gets out quick that we're doing a fire drill, but take it as the real thing, because you never know. You know, you might say, oh, I got a cake in the oven, or I'm baking cookies, or, you know, I got a couple Sam's to do and I'm not gonna have time. Take it as the real thing, because you never know. You might think it's only a drill. We might have said we're gonna have a drill, but maybe it's the real thing. Go around, check all the doors, make sure the residents are in their room, everybody is safe. Any questions on the central system? In the residents' rooms, we have two types of detectors. There's one out in the kitchen living room area and one in the bedroom area. One is photoelectric, one is ionization. The one in the bedroom is the one that has the battery. So if you ever hear a beeping sound and you can tell when a battery is low, it will chirp. There'll be a long pause, maybe about a minute or so. Then there'll be another chirp. And it's not a beeping, it's just a little chirp. When you hear that, you know the battery needs to be changed. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning and it's bothering the resident, especially in a traditional setting, and it's bothering the resident, feel free, if you can safely get a little ladder, step up there, open up that detector that's in the bedroom, that's the only one that has a battery, and take that little 9-volt battery out. Please leave a note on the front desk so that I know the battery is out of the smoke detector, so I can put a new one in. Don't just take it out and push it back up. You can leave the smoke detector open, okay? That only goes off in the bedrooms, by the way. It won't go off in the hallways, all right? So if that's chirping and you want to take it, if you can safely remove that battery, and just make a note so that it can be replaced afterwards. The one that's in the living room, in the kitchen area, that is an electric one that does not have batteries, so don't go trying to take that one down because you'll be pulling wires down with it. So only the one in the bedroom will be chirping. The other thing that you might hear chirping in the room is the CO detector. We have a couple different brands. There's actually 3 brands that we put up in there. And what happens is these run by electricity and by battery. And even though that they're plugged into the wall, they might be plugged into the wrong electrical outlet. There are 2 outlets in wall outlet. If they plug it into the one that is shut off by the switch on the wall, then that means the detector is running off of the battery itself. And then sooner or later the battery is going to die and it'll start chirping, just like the smoke detector will. Again, you'll hear a little chirp and there'll be silence. If either one of these 2 things are activated, you can tell the difference. With a CO detector, and carbon monoxide detectors register for carbon monoxide, okay? CO levels. And you can't smell CO, you can't taste it, you can't do anything. It's only up to these little things. So if one of these CO detectors goes off, you'll hear beep, 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 beep. There'll be 4 beeps, a pause. 4 more beeps, a pause. 4 more beeps, a pause. Different from the smoke detector, which will constantly go on beep, 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 like that. So if you hear that, the 4 beeps, you know it's the CO detector. It may be 2 o'clock in the morning and you say, oh, should I call Marty? And then you smarten up and say, no, I'm not going to call Marty. I'll call Nellie instead of Jessica, because you don't want to wake me up. The smartest way to check is this. Take the detector out of the room, go into an adjacent room, grab the detector from the adjacent room, plug this one into the wall, take theirs out. Theirs won't be beeping. Put it into that plug where you just came from. If that detector starts beeping, where you just put that new detector into that room, starts beeping, you know there might be something up there. Again, you can't smell CO, you can't taste it, it's colorless, odorless. So what do you think would be the smart thing to do? Dial 911. The fire department will be coming with their meters, and they'll be able to test for CO. In the meantime, if that meter is still going off, don't leave the resident in the room. Remove the resident. And if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm sorry, get them out of bed, roust them out of bed, get them out of there. Don't open up the windows in the room. Don't open up the door in the room. Keep the room sealed, get the resident out of the room, and just safely get it out of the room. It's not going to leak out. If we have a CO detector going off in the building, it's not going to make it so that everybody gets sick in the building. Get that resident out. When the fire department gets here, they can go in there with their meters and check. If you open the windows and keep the door open in the room to the hallway, the fire department will get here and their meters are going to show 0 on them because you've just aired out the room. If they go in there and they find something wrong, whether it's something with the ventilation system or maybe something electrical, we'll be able to find it. But if you vent out the room, we're just going to keep going through this whole process all over again. Once the build's up again to 45 parts per million, this is going to go off again. Okay? Questions on the CO meters? So once again, even if one of these, the battery starts beeping because it's low, either take it out of the resident's room and remove the battery. You can leave it on the RCA desk or bring it down front. Just let me know which room it is. Some of them are marked on the detectors, some are not. Just let me know which room it is so, again, I can put fresh batteries in the next day. If a smoke detector goes off in the room, one of the local smoke detectors in the room, one of those two, the ionization or the photoelectric goes off, it's only gonna go off in that room. It's only gonna beep in that room. It's not gonna beep throughout the whole building. So if you happen to be walking down, say, this hallway, and you're walking by 226 and all of a sudden you hear the beeping sound, by all means investigate. Remember that acronym that we use, RACE? You respond. Go into the room and see what's going on. If the smoke detector is beeping and you don't see no one, there's no smoke, no fire, you're in pretty good shape. That's a good thing. If you happen to open up the door and you're met with a bunch of smoke, it could be from maybe burnt food in the microwave or on a stove top or something else. If that happens, get that resident out of that room ASAP. If you're lucky enough during the day and the resident is out of the room and the door happens to be closed, just quickly check. I don't expect you to, especially if the room is really smoke filled, I don't expect you to go crawling around the whole room. Stay as low as you can. Smoke will always rise to the ceiling and start banking down. So stay down low. If you walk in and the smoke level is here, and you've never probably experienced it, but in the fire, it's like a cloud that starts going from the ceiling down. And you can stick your head up into the cloud and you can't see nothing. But yet you get below that cloud and you can see daylight. So stay as low as you can. Just check the room quick, just in case. Maybe that resident is out of the room, but you never know, especially up in this area. Another resident might be in that room. Check the room quick. After you check the room and you don't know where the smoke is coming from, get out of the room, close the door. If you happen to open it up and you see there's a fire in the microwave, do you think we ought to open up the microwave? Okay, if there's a fire, there's a lot of smoke in that microwave, don't open it. If you can safely unplug it without getting burned or not taking in a lot of smoke, do that. Keep the door closed though, because you want to keep that smoke in the room. Once it gets out to the hallways and activates the central system, the fire department's going to be coming. And we want that. If there's a lot of smoke in the room, by all means, if you kept it in the room, contained it in that room, and the central alarm has not gone off, as soon as you get out of that room, walkie on your walkie. If it's during the daytime, call the receptionist. If I'm here, call me and the receptionist. Let everyone know what's going on. That you had a fire in the microwave, there's a lot of smoke in the room. And one of the department heads, or myself, if the receptionist hasn't already done it, will be dialing 911 to call the fire department to get that smoke out. Okay? And if you ever have to remove the smoke from your room, from my room or a room here, the easiest way to do it is to open up the bottom window, pull down the top window. All these top windows have two little locks on top. They're just little hand locks. Push up, pull them down. They come down very easy. All right? If you open up the bottom sash of the window, you can open it up as high as it will go, and it's only going to probably go up 6 inches because of the safety locks. If you only get it up 6 inches, that smoke, if it's up here, is not going to be coming down and going out like that. So it's very, very important to pull down the top sash. Anything in front of the window, such as curtains, blinds, anything of that nature, remove them. That stops the ventilation. If it's not that bad and it's just a little smelly, just a little bit of smoke, and we can evacuate the smoke ourselves, what we're going to do is just simply that. We're going to pull down that top sash of the window, remove any curtains or blinds, we lift them up and remove them. And then we're going to take one of our fans, it could be just a box fan or one of our bigger fans, bring it into the room and point it so it's evacuating that smoke out the window. Okay, and usually if it's something like that, it's not bad. Now, if there has been a small fire in the microwave and maybe you've put it out or it went out by itself, don't be afraid to call the fire department. The reason being is when they come, when the fire department comes, they're going to take their thermal imaging camera, which detects heat behind walls and everything, and they'll check the temperature behind the wall and the surrounding walls and make sure that all that fire has been contained in the microwave and nothing heated up in the wall, and now there's a fire smoldering in the wall, because at first glance you could look at the wall and say, yeah, it looks fine. It could be smoldering, and then maybe about 4 or 5 hours later, it turns into a small flame, and the flame gets bigger, and now there's a fire in the wall. So have them come and check it, and don't be afraid to tell them. Tell them exactly what you had. There was a small fire in the microwave, we put it out, but we'd just like you to check the wall behind it. They'll gladly come with their thermal imaging camera. Believe me, firefighters want to meet you people. They want to come and meet nice looking ladies and stuff like that. And the ladies want to meet nice looking guys, so they're going to come in here with their big axes and everything. So just appease them a little bit. Let them have their fun. Okay, they're not going to tear a hole in the wall, I promise you that. But at least if they check, okay? Any questions so far on anything we covered? The last thing is, and we've had it happen in this building, we've had a small fire in the room. It started on top of a kitchen top and went up the side of the wall. Luckily, one of the kitchen servers happened to be in the area when the RCA discovered it. And he went and took it upon himself, which was excellent. These fire extinguishers that are located near the exits, you should probably, when you walk in this building, familiarize yourself where you can find them. They're usually located by the exit doors. Take the fire extinguisher, and if you know how to use the fire extinguisher, by all means, extinguish the fire. If you're not sure how to use it, then don't get yourself hurt. But the easiest way is to take an extinguisher, go into the room with your back to the door. You never want to put the fire between you and your exit out, because once you expel those chemicals out of that fire extinguisher, they come out in a big cloud. The chemicals that are in those fire extinguishers are meant to do one thing, and that's remove the oxygen from the air. Fire needs a couple things to get bigger. It needs fuel, which is, it has plenty of fuel, which is the wallpaper, the woodwork, anything like that, wood. So it has the fuel, and it needs oxygen. If you give it oxygen, it's going to get even bigger. The chemicals displace that oxygen from the air, remove the oxygen from the air. But also, we as humans need oxygen to breathe. So if you walk through that big cloud of chemicals, smoke, and it's going to be a big cloud, and Jessica can attest to this because we did a demonstration a couple of years back, and one of her children put out the fire, and it made such a big cloud of smoke, it came right into the building and set the fire alarm off in the building. And it will travel too. So that big cloud of smoke gets big. It's not just a little thing. So always keep your back to your exit. Next thing you want to do is remember that acronym. What was that acronym? Ah, jeez. Pay attention. It's PASS. The P stands for pull the pin on the fire extinguisher. The A stands for take that nozzle and aim it at the base of the fire. The first S stands for squeeze those two triggers together. The second S is to sweep at the base of the fire. You never want to start off high like this and do this and start just squirting all over the place, because in all honesty, as soon as you squeeze that, a big cloud of chemicals is going to come out. The other thing you don't want to do is just, after you squeeze it, stand there and say, because you're in a small little room, stand there and say, geez, I don't see no more orange glow. I think I got it all. Because you're going to start coughing and inhaling that stuff, and you're going to go right down. And believe me, it happens quicker than you know. And if that happens, you better hope that they get you the fresh air, because you could actually die from that. So squeeze it, back out of the room, shut the door. I guarantee you, you're probably going to put out the fire. And that's what this person from the kitchen did. He squeezed the fire extinguisher, put out the fire, and left it there and went out the door. Best thing to do. Fire department got here, they ventilated the room, they checked for extension in the walls and everything, they did their job, and because of his actions, saved us a lot of money. Because the biggest thing in this building is not so much fire, it's water damage. Because this building is sprinkled, you can see one there, one there, one there. All those little dots on the ceiling, those are sprinklers. If that sprinkler had activated, it was on the first floor, it probably wouldn't have been too much damage just to that room there. But if that activates on the second floor, we got to worry about the apartment underneath that apartment that's affected, the two apartments to the side of both of those apartments. it gets to be a real pain in the neck, and once they become activated, the only people that are gonna be able to shut that off is the fire department and me. And if I'm not here, and it happens at night, you gotta wait till they get here. And as fast as they are, it's probably gonna take them at least 3 to 4 minutes at least to get here. If it's at night, probably another 2 minutes on top of that. So imagine the water that's gonna come out of these sprinklers. Of course, you could help me if you got a ladder and stuck your finger in the sprinkler. That would stop the water from coming out. And we used to do that with the rookies. We'd make them stick their finger in the sprinkler hole until we shut off the sprinkler head to teach them a lesson. But so you don't want to stick your finger in the sprinkler hole. Don't let those things go off, because once they do, a lot of water comes out there. And if that happens at night, if the fire alarm goes off, please don't hesitate to call me. I mean, I kid around when I say I don't want to be waking up, but if it goes off, I want to know about it so that I know what's going on as far as with the building goes. Because we've had some issues with the fire alarm system here, and I want to make sure everything is working properly. Does anyone have any questions? Everybody is in this together. We all work together. Nellie's quote hit the nail right on the head earlier. You know, if we all work together, it's so much easier. If you're one person trying to cover 2 doors, or one person trying to look for where the alarm is going off, and at the same time trying to cover a door or move residents, while other people are saying, oh, geez, I'm going to stay here and make sure my cake doesn't burn in the oven. You know, that won't work too well. So work together. Everybody is in this, whether you're housekeeping, whether you're dietary, whether you're a department head, whether you're an RCA, everybody works together. Questions on anything, ladies and gentlemen? No questions on anything? We all know what PASS stands for, right?
Yep.
We all know what RACE stands for? RACE? Not the Kentucky Derby. RACE. RAC. R stands for respond. A is what? An alarm or announce. C is contain. E is extinguish or evacuate. Okay? You don't open up those. These are by electricity. They're all hardwired throughout the building. You don't open them up.
The ones in the bedroom.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
These just simply plug into wires in the ceiling. The ones in the bedroom are very easy. You'll see one side that has a 4-letter word. It says OPEN. Where that 4-letter word is, you just pull down on that side there. I'm just telling you, you pull down on that side there and it'll open for you. That's how it's a little hinge thing. Yeah. If it's during the daytime, please call me. It's easy enough to call me. If it's at night and you're one of these brave, daring RCAs that can stand on chairs and do
No
stuff
chairs.
like no chairs. Did I say
Allowed.
chairs?
You said chairs. No chairs.
That was Ken I saw standing on the chair. Just pull down on that side that says open, and it hinges, and just take that 9-volt battery out. But just if it's during the daytime, let me know. Even if it's at night, let me know. Questions on anything? Okay, once again, this video will be on, for your benefit, this will be on display here at the office. And you can own your own for $19.95 plus postage annually. Send it to me. Okay, I'll get an autographed copy for you.
$10.
For another $10. Thank you. You see my market manager.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.